Okay. Let's load this. Okay. Good. Alright. Got that. That out of the way. Hello, everybody. Hope everyone's doing good, having a good morning, night, wherever you are. Doing this different schedules and everything, but hopefully the internet will work better as well. Earlier in the night, I was seeing lots of UFOs. For anybody that sees some of my stuff, I see them all the time, just about. And tonight they're doing zigzags, they're doing turns, and I saw one was protecting two others. One was in the sky looking like a planet. And I thought it was a planet. Okay, this is my own experiences and everything. And when I was there, I thought maybe it was a planet or a star. But I was thinking, what if it's a UFO? It was yellow, orange color and stuff like that. Same as the UFOs I see. Again, you guys see it differently than I do and everything, because I've done live streams and I've shown people pictures. And other people were outside waiting to see something, I think, or see me run around to engage with ETs and stuff. Maybe to get some entertainment out, see me do that. I don't doubt that. Thing is, if they didn't see anything, they didn't open themselves up more. And maybe being high doesn't help. I don't know. But I took some pictures because I want to make sure it wasn't in my own head. They don't like me to film them. They don't. But I want to get more people. I'll have to talk with them tomorrow. If I see them, I don't usually talk to people. I don't usually have anything to do with people, humans, that much. It kind of got used to do OnlyFans and adult work and stuff, and a lot of things changed and stuff. And I love them, and I miss the girls that I've done collabs with. I love them a lot. I gotta say that. I'll always love them no matter what. I hope they know that. I love them more than my own life myself. The ladies there and everything. Sorry, Danny Daniels, for accident that happened. Anyways, they're out there doing quite a bit of stuff, and there's a UFO is out to the north, and it's just going across the sky. It's just a lone one, or it might have been part of the group. I don't know. Anyways, the three craft that I've had a lot of contact and experiences with, they were out there. The third one came out tonight, and it's like it had one UFO coming out with another. Almost it looked like at times they were shining bright, and other times they weren't, and everything. It was a great show tonight, and I need to find out my video equipment. Not my video, but my internet. There are people that stream that do storm chasing, and they have internet stuff, either Starlink or some type of internet service, right? I need to find out how to be able to do that on the move and everything, because I can have this bullshit, where they say, oh, we can't do that, or these companies can't, when storm chasers and other people are doing it on the move, and in real time, people doing it in real time in real life, um, uh, streaming, they're out there and everything, going from place to place with the internet. So I don't want to hear this BS that they can't do it for me. Um, but it was. I got some pictures. I could get all the great stuff on video. I wish I could, but they don't like that. And I noticed that some UFOs are looking like drones. How do I know this? It was the way these two drones were moving and communicating with each other. And they just disappeared. Some of these drones just disappeared into thin air. Drones don't do that. I know drones. I see them around all the time. I see UAPs. I see military aircraft come and go. I'm a lot smarter than that. Well, I don't like to say I'm smart because I do a lot of stupid things. But anyways, it's just, this is a lot different. I've been noticing for their own safety as well that UFOs are disguising themselves. Some for their own safety, like the ones that I know. They're afraid of being downed by our government and everything. That's also killing them. Some of them. Like I said, why aren't they going after the bad extraterrestrials? And the only thing I can think of is that we have a sort of, deal with those ones. Let me see here. Dang it. I only do this so people actually chat. But I've been hearing lately, all right, that the old regime is coming back when it comes to people that want to talk about UFOs. And people are getting killed. People are coming up missing. And it's very evident that the old regime is back. I think that for some of us, it's going to be up to us to put out the truth. That, and the thing is, us civilians have known about UFOs forever. And we can't, if we can't, we should never depend on whistleblowers. I never did. I always knew UFOs were real before these whistleblowers came out and everything. I knew most things of what was real and what wasn't. But it's a very bad thing when the old regime is coming back, where some of these people are come up missing that want to whistleblow. They end up in an accident, end up killed. In the accident, suicide that's accident is dead, suicide, and of course they weren't suicidal, or they're killed, or missing, of course. All right. So I think we're going to hear a lot more of this happening, baby. And this is where this guy's talking about some of it being set up. Let's go. How long am I to be on? I don't know. But for anybody, I hope some people will come online. What I hate about YouTube is that they don't put me out there unless I'm outside live. Then it's like YouTube will say, okay, give him some time. It's like other times, I get it, they don't like a lot of stuff I say. And we have a bad relationship. I don't like a lot of stuff they do. What they've done to me. So, taking views, stuff like that. But I hope some people, and I didn't look, see if anybody's in chat. YouTube, I want to get things going. I want really people to talk here, if possible. I don't know. Maybe there's a reason that some people don't want me stuff known out there. Because I know a lot of stuff. Not just because of my father, but other people that have been around this UFO stuff and secret sites. So I don't know, maybe that's a threatening thing. The government doesn't want me getting noticed because of that. And some of the other stuff is because the way that I talk, they don't like the way that I talk about some things, which a lot of people don't. Anyways, let's get to this.
Intelligence I was very familiar with from the region. It is a very telling sign what they did afterwards with my concerns about the actions of Israel and our government. We found one of the key players in the legacy security architecture lately or currently at Northrop Grumman. There have been coordinated online attacks against myself, Dylan Borland, David Grush, Lou Elizondo, Jeff Mixatelli. The point is it's systematic and it's ongoing to this day. We have identified the main players and found that they are active duty service members or reserve service members with active clearances, doing this on their work time from work computers.
This is weaponized.
Due to the sensitive nature of some of the material discussed in this interview, several names have been redacted to protect the safety of all parties involved.
So, Matt Brown, Immaculate Constellation, those two words, that name is now out in the world and has received a lot of attention. And I went and looked online to see what the current...
Let's just say it has to do with being an adult work and some of the puns that means some adult stars would use. But anyways,
valuation of it is, and it's got legs. It's kind of a story that's got legs. It was introduced to Congress in 2024, and we talked to you for Weaponized in 3 episodes and got a huge reaction from people. We're curious about how it has changed your life, how the subject matter has changed itself, so I wanted to catch up with you.
Yeah, thank you, George. Thank you, Jeremy. It's been a long 9 months, I think. We're not quite at the anniversary yet, but it's good to be here, catch up on that, and see where things go next.
So you've called Immaculate Constellation the two-faced God. Maybe that's a good place to start. For those who didn't see the earlier episodes that we did with you, why do you call it that? What was it? What is it?
Janus. So, I mean, that analogy was used related to how it processes data, right? And sequesters that data from people who aren't cleared to view it. Immaculate Constellation as a program, since I was never formally read into it, I cannot authoritatively state what that was, but it certainly involved, the intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance of UAP and RV around the world, especially, in relation to our adversaries and their interactions with the phenomena. One thing that, kind of took off was identifying Immaculate Constellation with a specific platform or, a specific cyber capability, right? And one thing I want to point out that I tried to in our first interview as well, which is the key here is, who was being briefed on this, and that's OSD policy, who is in charge of the oversight for a specific category of SAPs, and those are operations and logistics. So people who are saying Immaculate Constellation is an AI, or is the sentience program from NRO, or is XYZ, the reverse engineering program, speculation. What is certain is that where I found it and its mission described fits with it being a operational SAP.
USAP, is that what it fits into, that an unacknowledged special access program?
Correct, is the security structure. And when I'm referring to oversight of SAPs, there's 3 bins for oversight generally and control.
Hey, how you doing?
So you will have intelligence, you'll have your acquisition and sustainment, and then you will have policy overseeing the operations and logistics. So
I had a great night watching UFOs earlier. I don't know if some of the others saw it or not, but I took some photos and stuff. I only got one on camera. Thank you, YouTube, for putting it out there right now, because there's a lot of stuff that was seen tonight, earlier. A lot of stuff. And I would like to get some more people involved in just a lot of stuff. It was really awesome. The UFO's doing zigzag, and they're doing some crazy, awesome stuff. I get like goosebumps. Man, it is beautiful. I'm so lucky that I'm able to see him. But he's talking about stuff about UFO witnesses, and I've known about this stuff where some are coming up missing or dead, and that's not a coincidence. And the old regime, I think, is back.
You know, your key here is to look at the office. The office isn't building stealth bombers. It isn't managing surveillance and reconnaissance networks. It's setting the objectives for the Pentagon, setting the objectives for what we are doing on a day-to-day basis. And what we do on a day-to-day basis are operations that are very often, when they're classified, controlled in special programs. And this is one.
I gotta say though, is that I was out of airtime to live stream, so I couldn't do that. I'm actually overtime, but I need, like I said, I need to get a plan where I could do it on the move, like these other streamers do. I need to do that because I want to be able to get out there. I mean, it depends if they want to be out on camera, these UFOs. It depends if they want to be out there, they want to be seen as well. And I need to see about the other people out there, if they saw it or not, if they care to, is another big thing. But I took some pictures, so I always want to make sure it's not just in my head. I want to have some proof. Anyways.
One of those, to the best of my knowledge.
The way you described it to us, and then the description given to Congress, is this is an AI program that basically scours all the databases and archives and platforms and military intelligence agencies and scoops up really good UFO, UAP, USO video images, things like that, and puts it somewhere else.
Right.
As if it never existed on those platforms.
Mm-hmm. That certainly appears to be one of the main functions or a capability that is part of Immaculate Constellation, right? Since it's an operation, again, it's not just one platform, not just one capability. One of the things that is involved is what you just said, identifying collection events of anomalous phenomena, sequestering them outside of the general population or the general incoming stream of intelligence, and make sure that it goes to where it's supposed to go within the legacy program, I would assume, or more broadly, just the defense and intelligence community as a whole. So, is AI used? Clearly, right? That is a massive amount of data. Is our clandestine surveillance platforms used? Yes, they're collecting the data. They are all part of an operation, right? So one way that SAPs are structured is like nests. So you'll
crazy, but I saw where Al Guthrie disappeared. Is that they're building a huge data center there, and it's something under something blue. It's called, I forgot what it was, but we had this general Al Guthrie, all these other people. I don't know, but there's this huge, it's a whole people's personal data, and it's really scary that our country has more data centers to hold our personal data, spy on us, to hold our data, than Russia or China has. That's very scary. And one thing is about AI is that I was talking to a friend of mine about this, how that has that Twitter. He lets me post some things on there. Because I don't have one. But, talk about how with Grok isn't going to be able to tell you what's real and what isn't about stuff on UFOs. Usually, unless it's, says the military says it's real or whatever, right? People should not put all their faith into Grok or ChatGPT, because there's a lot of stuff that they don't know, and it's not God's word, as we were saying. So don't ask Grok about everything, whether it's real or not. We're supposed to do that. We're supposed to do our own investigating. We are supposed to, I feel like us humans, are losing intelligence and giving all of our intelligence to AI. And that's a bad thing.
Have a parents app above them, and it oversees many smaller programs, right? Each of those programs might have a very specific mission, like specifically managing the classification standards, right? Ones will actually be tasked with identifying where and when to collect in the first place to task things, and then the operation itself. These are all, distinct roles and responsibilities. But since you're at the Pentagon, you're at headquarters, these all filter up into one comprehensive strategic view where you see everything.
Well, one thing about these UFOs is that I noticed that they had someone protecting them. They had a UFO protecting them. And it's really sad when our government is downing some of these good ones that are good extraterrestrials versus the bad ones. And I saw something on Twitter where, the Pentagon, leaked out or something about a video where ET's triangular craft came upon one of our submarines, and they couldn't do anything. And I thought that was just funny, because I think it's like to say, hey, we're still ahead of you. I think if people knew what I did about what our government is doing, our government would not like that. It would scare the shit out of these programs, special access programs that are not even government controlled, but it's contractors, military contractors and stuff like that, and it's really bad.
And that's what's incorporated here in the Immaculate Constellation Report. So what is on display are many capabilities, many programs overseen by Immaculate Constellation. That's a pretty good summary.
What people have said is that you saw one document about some war games in 2018, you misinterpreted it, and it means way less than you're suggesting.
I need to put out this legal. I forgot. Forgive me. For those that, this is Jeremy Corbell's channel. Shout out to him and everything. These guys are owed. Knapp is an OG here. I remember when I was a kid watching him, and I was having my first UFO experiences back in the 80s and stuff and everything, and he was put out Bob Lazar stuff, and then Jeremy Corbell came up, and I have to put this out though, legal, fair use. I'm putting in my own experiences with this stuff as well. So now let's move on.
You've read all the other kind of criticisms that have popped up since you introduced this, or brother Michael Schellenberger, the journalist who wrote this 12-page report. Or was it 11-page, Jeremy? I'm kidding with you.
I am so pissed right now. I got two questions. Not about that. I'm angry today, and I got to be honest because you're going to see it. So, two questions. One is, today, are you able to tell us more? So everybody should go look at your first interview, and they'll understand who you are. They'll understand what your career was like, and then they can catch up to being here now with us. Okay, but everybody should do that. two questions for you.
I know. I'm getting chills. Actually, I get chills. For him and some of these other people, I believe our old regime, that used to use even men in black at a certain time. I have definite fears of our old regime coming back and killing people. That are willing to talk and set him up and stuff. And I just got a bad feeling.
Are you able to say and talk more today than you were, more freely today than you were the first time we interviewed you publicly on camera? Are you able to say more today than you were before?
No.
In general?
In general, yes. As it relates to Immaculate Constellation and the many documents and bodies of evidence that I consulted, that were all non-public. I'm not able to speak any more about those. I'm only able to speak about what I received clearance for from the State Department to speak about.
Okay.
But I am able to speak about, what has happened in my life since. I'm no longer a government employee.
Pause that. We're going to get there. So, George, you're making a joke, and it's funny, but we should dissect that for people later. I think what's real important right now is fundamentally, people need to go back and look at what Matt said, who he is. You asked him, did you make it up?
Yeah, when it comes to politics, I'm not on any side. I've known politicians on both sides personally, and a lot of them, when they first get in, they come in with, wanting to change for the good. They come in as good people a lot of times. It's not all the same as it used to be, but they come in, they want to change things for the better and everything. And then they get corrupted by their political party. And it's like, well, you want to do something, this is both parties, I know both of them. It's like, well, if you want to pass these laws, if you want to get this bill passed or something, you got to work with us first. You have to do things for us. And you see that a lot of politicians on both sides, no matter what country, all right, is that they get bogged down by their party and they become corrupted very easily. And before they know it, they become that evil of their party and stuff like that. They become just a part of the rot of that. And again, I know people personally from both parties, and I know politicians that told me they could get away with murder, and people that know me said, yeah, they could get away with that and everything. And it's crazy how things go. I don't like either side really. But anyways, let's get back to
basically what you're saying. Did you make it up? And that's a loaded question because we know the answer, but now we're just going to go for this, and the answer is he did not. But there's a reason George is asking that. But before we go there, second and last question until we move on. You keep saying Immaculate Constellation was an operation. Will you educate our viewership why you're saying the word operation rather than saying program? Or would you like me to do it?
I mean, a program is more generic, right? A program can be an operation. It can also be a scientific research, agenda. It can also be, buying things from Lockheed Martin, right? Those are all programs. Operation is in the field. You are out in the real world, using military and intelligence assets to carry out change, to advance the national interest, to defend our country. So a program can be sitting in Idaho, researching some cool nuclear fuel, but an operation is going to be out there, especially military operation. We're in the Pentagon when this is happening. It's going to be out there in the world, real world risks, lives are on the line.
So the other thing I would say about that is that a program, even if they put out a false name or they change the name and all this stuff, an operation, and correct me if I'm wrong, but in the way that we're using it is that it is functional, right? But you're not going to necessarily go find an operation name the way you would find an official program name. So if in the White House, am I wrong in that? That's okay.
I think you are correct.
Okay.
People above me, I have access
I
to
see his
tools
body language, and it's like I can see his energy just all over the way. It's like drops like water going all over. He's really scared and everything of saying anything. Yeah, he's very careful. He's very scared.
And visibility that I don't, so I cannot say, what they were or were not able to, look up.
Oh, we know for sure that so here's the thing. If somebody said Matt Brown made up a document that he was exposed to on a server that he reported shouldn't be on that server, and then Matt wrote a report because he's a perfect, what's a didactic memory? What's the word? We got like perfect audio or perfect visual memory.
Photogenic?
Not photogenic. That's so good. You
photographic.
Yeah. But anyway, so it's just funny. Like,
yeah, you said that. So
what people need to, what I think the audience needs to understand is there was a report that you were exposed to. Then you wrote something.
There was a briefing.
So I'm sorry, a briefing you were exposed to, and then you wrote a report and you notified Congress, Senate, or I don't know how you separate them all. You notified people. You got stuff through you got stuff through clearance through State Department. So I just wanted to clarify for our audience what an operation is compared to, like, if they go look up OSAP. OSAP was a program. It's different than an operation.
Yeah. Right. So this AI system, somewhere in the federal government, in the executive branch, it reaches out and scoops up interesting images and information and takes it somewhere, and then what's done with it? What do they do with that?
Yeah, so people have connected the dots between NRO's sentient program as being one of the artificial intelligence capabilities that our intelligence and military community has had access to for about a decade now, at least. So what does it do with it? Again, I was never formally part of this operation. I was never formally...
I gotta say that he's talking about his program or operations he was in. And this is the thing with a lot of stuff, it's been around forever. But what they like to do, these military contractors in the military that have these secret programs, is that they like to have a name for these programs, and then they shut them down, and then they open them back up and stuff. Usually, sometimes under, of course, under different names and stuff. So, like, he was talking about this one program. He said it's been, about a decade. Well, there was another program before that under a different name. Before that, it's multi-generational as well, and they do that also so they could be under the radar and keep things secret that way. If they keep a program or operations, he puts it, with the same name with 70, 80 years or whatever, that's easier for people to find and people to collect information on those secret programs. So a lot of these programs, they close them and then they open another one up with the same kind of stuff and secrets, UFO stuff or whatever. But they just close some down, they open a new one up under a different name though. That's so they could be under the radar.
Read in. I am deducing things from the briefing that was given, which was explicit about certain things, but it's, again, a PowerPoint. It classifies data and sends that data to wherever there is the mission need and there's the clearance for it. So when we're talking about the UAP problem set, you know, things like this are going to be,
or was,
since we're talking photographic or visual geospatial intelligence, right? It's going to be going through NGA, and then from there, you know, they will have a roster of the different units and offices that are cleared for intelligence and will receive it to use it either in their analysis or in their, you know, live day-to-day operations. Because again, UAP are real. They are in contact with our forces on a near daily basis, whether those forces happen to recognize it or not. There's a distinct operational need for that intelligence, and theoretically, this system is what fulfills that need, while keeping people who are not cleared in the dark about the entirety of this.
So the big question that I think was kind of missed by a lot of people that watch this, you know, they're trying to assume, because of Matt's words and his articulation is so specific, yes, there is an operation, a technological operation, to siphon off the NHI contact,
non-human intelligence,
promised, known, unknown, unsuspected, suspected, planned. And it does use an artificial intelligence to keep everybody in the dark within the intelligence and military industrial complex that doesn't have a need to know, correct or incorrect.
Correct.
And that's a big thing that people kind of missed, and you're highlighting.
And somebody like Susan Go at the Department of War can say, gosh, that Matt Brown comes out with this stuff. We searched high and low through our records, and we can't find anything that shows that Immaculate Constellation was ever within the Department of Defense or Pentagon or DOW. And she'd be right.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Yes.
You know, I question anything
That's the way
coming
the
from
AI
this
works.
Goff, public affairs, aka perception management, out of DoD.
So technically, it's not within the DOD.
Or she's lying.
Or she's lying or doesn't know.
But I think you're right. Technically, it's under White House authority. It's under...
Yeah, and to jump out of the context of the time, which I try to stay in this conversation, right? I try not to introduce information I've learned since into my testimony or whatever, but I think what you're getting at is true. It's been learned through multiple sources that the Immaculate Constellation is housed or ran out of the National Security Council.
Yes.
Which makes perfect sense, given the classification structure that's been, you know, kind of revealed by some very diligent researchers out there.
Independently verified by me and George separately multiple times, independently verified by you, independently verified by people that do verification for me and George. I mean, it's like, I'm high confidence, as they'd say.
This is what the National Security Council. It happened that JFK he tried to get rid of somebody in the National Security Council. And they have like some ties to JFK assassination and everything, because JFK was trying to get rid of some of the corruption with that. And let's just say, if Trump really ever did want those secrets out, which I think is more diversion, but anyways, hope it's not. If you want those out, you have to replace the National Security Council, because they can end your life. Those guys have more power than any president does. They have more power than anybody in Congress does. Because they have ways they can also blackmail people as well. They can go over everything that you do if they feel threatened. They know where you are all the time. But these guys, the National Security Council, by keeping this stuff a secret, they can also make money, get rich off this stuff. And how they have stock in these companies. And they have stock, also special access programs. And this is why you see some people getting rich from these special access programs. And why they want to keep it secret is because they're making money off of it as well.
That absolutely, that she might not be lying in her press statement directly, because the authorities of Immaculate Constellation, are you looking at that? My niece painted my nail.
Oh, yeah.
My niece painted right now. Sorry.
I always thought he was.
Go ahead.
I always thought he was
She's
telling
my
the truth.
freaking niece, man. She's my brother's daughter.
I thought he's been serious.
So it existed somewhere. I guess the most obvious question I have is, did it change as a result of you coming forward and sharing this information? I'm just asking to guess. You're not there anymore, but what do you think happened? Did they circle the wagons, give it a new name? What would have happened?
Because he was an
Circle around
active
wagons.
federal employee when he interviewed with us.
Correct.
Wow. Can you answer his question? No.
What happened with it? I mean, maybe they changed the name. If I had to guess, maybe my face is on a PowerPoint briefing as the next person to expose Immaculate Constellation, although apparently that honor goes to Mr. Lou Elizondo. Thank you, Lou, for exposing Immaculate Constellation.
Did he do so accidentally inside the intelligence community or purpose?
Well, the briefing itself listed him through his exposure of ATIP, OSAP as responsible.
When it comes to being AI, I have such a hate for it, but there are a few times when I can admit it can be useful. A lot of times I'm like, death to AI. Oh my God. I've had girlfriends, celebrities that have had their likenesses used. I've had our content used by AI, our voices used by AI, stuff of ours stolen by AI, by companies that make AI, and how AI is taking over people's jobs and everything. It's at least like 100,000 jobs are lost within these past years with different work and everything. And that should be illegal. Humans need jobs. And I think we're all beyond Social Security the way things are going, or something like that. But yeah, AI and stuff, there are a few times I've been on a job where AI has been helpful, but I don't like where people start to be, where AI takes over their job, where we're supposed to be evolving our brains to know what AI is doing. We're supposed to be smarter. We're supposed to evolve and become smarter. We're giving our intelligence to AI to take over our intelligence, and that's a huge problem and stuff. And AI companies have their own politics. They have their own answers for stuff a lot of times. So it's crazy. But
for exposing Immaculate Constellation.
So once it's exposed, maybe they changed the name, or maybe they didn't. Maybe they're just cocky about that and just left it the
I heard they
same.
changed the name immediately.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. But if, again, asking you a guess, there's no way they made it go away.
Oh, absolutely not. It's an operation. It is a mission. The mission doesn't go away just because of public exposure.
How's it been for you? How's your life gone since then? And take your time on this, because there's a lot of angles I'd like to pursue. But, Jeremy took you to Congress. He introduced you to a number of people who were involved in these hearings. Right. And, and then the information was introduced onto the record by journalists. And there have been continued inquiries and questions about it from members of Congress and media. But I don't think a lot of people think about you and what this means. I know we hear almost every day from somebody who'll say, come on, whistleblowers, step forward, spill the beans. There's no way they'd ever think of prosecuting.
This is the thing people don't understand, and I do, because my father knew about a lot of secrets, top secret stuff, and I knew other people that did, is that, like he said, I can't talk about it. And he said, if I do, that's 25 years to life, just one charge. It's 25 years to life. That's same as a felony, worse than a felony. It's because it's state secrets. And you go to federal prison. And there's a lot of people that say that federal prison is worse. I don't know. I've never been there. Don't really care much to try it out. I don't. That's 25 years, one charge, and then they add up. So he says one thing that's 25 years, that could be 25 years. He says something else, another 25 years, add, charge, and everything. So I know that most people do not know about that, where that's 25 years to life on each charge if they come after you for saying something, talking about something that's secret, or classified. And though I've said, I've complained, I bitched at people and said, well, just say it anyway. And that's why I said, if I know something, I'll just say it. I've never been in a program. I've been around people that done stuff and everything. I've seen things as well, but luckily I don't have anything where the government can come after me. At least I don't think so.
Executing you for telling the truth. You have nothing to worry about, and give it to us, because I've been sitting here on X for 3-4 months now, and I'm really impatient and I need it now. The reality for whistleblowers, people like yourself who step forward and who share information, do so at considerable risk to your personal reputation, your personal lives, your future employment, and other aspects of your life that no one seems to care about.
This shit is scary.
Yeah, you say it, you make the sacrifice, put yourself at risk, and then, okay, get out of the way, who's next? That's the public view.
Yeah, that is.
Unfortunately, that's basically true.
It is.
One thing that hasn't changed is the treatment of the subject as entertainment. It's not entertainment. This is gravely serious, and it affects every single person in a way that every single person should be aware and thinking themselves about how to adapt to this current environment that has been hidden.
The emerging reality, the emerging consensus reality.
Correct. Yeah. How has my life been? It's been pretty terrible. I will start with some positives, though. It has been very positive to see the people who did listen and who did take that interview to go.
Now, back in my day, I knew about stuff. My own family, would say, don't talk about it, don't say anything. And so, of course, my dad, he'd say, don't say anything because maybe something could get back to me. What I knew, is from my own experiences and stuff like that. And my dad was an OG. He carried stuff to the grave and everything. He'd say that I heard stuff. He would say I heard stuff, but he would, and other guys that he knew, to say, I heard there's this secret base here, there's this over here and stuff. It's like some of us are in a royalty club almost in a way, knowing about classified stuff. But it's like back in my day, I was made fun of. I was called Satan. I was called say demons or me, and I was always put in a mental institution because back in my day, the stuff that I've been through, of course, can mess up your head. And nobody could understand me. And a lot of people just, religious bullshit that I went through with church people and everything was the worst. He's lucky he doesn't have to endure that. But me and a lot of other people have not had to. There's still some people in churches that make up this bullshit, say, hey, they're all demons, or there's angels. No, they're not. There are other beings out there. I've seen these other beings out there, and there's other races out there and everything. And it's not just about angels and demons. They do exist, But I'm telling people there's a lot of stuff that the Bible or Torah, Quran, and stuff do not talk about or even know about that is out there and everything. So
go start do their own research and then find their own conclusions. That's for someone like me very gratifying to see. The kind words from people who are warriors in this space longer than me matters a lot, and the friends behind the scenes who were helping me then or who have come my way since, I'm very grateful for all of those things. So those are positives. Negatives, I mean, I lost my job. I wasn't really in a good position to experience.
Did you lose your job or did you quit?
I lost my job.
You did?
Yes, I did not quit.
they saw him as a threat. That's
technically, we were doged at the time.
By Elon?
By Elon is a verb. It was a verb. It is a verb. I was a Doge casualty along with other people.
Well, this is one thing I know about Elon Musk. He doesn't want, I remember when Elon Musk said that he'd had UFO experience, at least one or a few. And as soon as he figured that if the world knew, the secrets came out about ETs and that we have reverse engineered technology, magic, that we could go to the stars, which we could go to other stars and stuff that we have already. That put him out of business. He wants the truth, silenced. And he wants all that stuff destroyed, including probably his own UFO experiences as well. So him cutting back on the program like that, I'm not surprised, because he has a lot of money to lose with the truth coming out.
In my office, it was a very convenient way to ensure my exit.
Right.
You'll never, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
You'll never enter again. You'll never get another government job. Certainly nothing involving a clearance.
No.
Well, funny you mentioned that. I was recently told by someone from ODNI that all of my clearances and tickets are good to go.
So you were told by ODNI
they
recently
won't tell
that
us.
your clearances are good to go. And theoretically, there's nothing blocking you from getting another government job, even in the intelligence realm.
ODNI told you that? ODNI means, for our viewers,
The Office of the Director of National Intelligence.
is run by
Yeah, National
Tulsi
Intelligence,
Gabbard,
sorry.
and she created something called the DIG.
Well, we'll come back with that. But I mean, is there a way for you to check, independent of what you were told? Are my clearances still good?
That's sus. That sounds like a trap. That sounds like a trap, bro. Do not fall for that trap. They'll put you in something and you might be the fall guy for that. I would not trust the government. Don't.
Not that I am familiar
That's a
with.
trap.
I'm sure there is a way to formally request your records and see when it was and wasn't in access. But in a practical sense, no. The easiest way to find out is to apply for a job and have someone on the inside verify that your tickets are in order.
It's so weird that ODNI would tell you that, because, man, I heard the
It's
absolute
a trap,
opposite
like
about you
Admiral
from
Akbar said, it's a
ODNI.
trap.
It's weird.
Bad stuff.
Sus.
Oh,
It's
yeah, no, I heard.
a fucking trap.
We'll talk later
Do not-
in this episode, or whatever the
Do
fuck we're
not
doing right now.
engage.
But I think that's ironic.
I don't know how people are out there living a life,
Believe me, I
especially
fall
life,
into
where they
traps
support
myself.
a family
That's why I say it.
after being a whistleblower. Because in my experience, this is the very opposite of lucrative. I'm just to talk money. I'm very grateful for all the support I get, but it amounts to less than $1,000 a month.
You're the fall guy. That'd be him if he tried to act.
That's not a career. That's not I became a whistleblower and made it big, and Matt Brown is set. No, it's quite the opposite. There is, it's my experience, no money in ufology, and I'm not interested in a career in ufology.
It is my experience that anything people can do to not confront what you're telling people, they'll do. So because it's like an ontological shock. It's like if you have to confront extraterrestrial life, if we're going to call it that, or whatever we call it, non-human intelligence, then we have to confront what it means to be a human being. Right, and that's fucking hard, dude. You know, you're worried about like making dinner and stuff, you know? So those things different. Will fall away, like the shadows fall away naturally when you just...
No, to be honest, I could go without a long time without figuring out what... I just hate how to say old stuff sometimes. Oh God, it gets on your... I got Mexican stuff. Anyways, let's move on.
Just keep telling it like it is. So I know, because we talk all the time, what you went through to get your words. You didn't even take the opportunity to be public. I walked you into offices. I put you in front of 3 individuals in private meetings, hid you as a camera person, and they trusted me enough to hear you out. And you chose not to try to go out there with your face. And I think that's so bold of you to do this now, but it has had a toll on you, and I think people should know. Like, people should know how it's affected you negatively. And if I'm going to somewhere we don't need to go,
well, let's ask and see where it ends up. In a personal, extremely personal sense, I think is where he was asking about.
Yes.
Yeah. I want people to see even. So I think it's important to note that, you know, when I went to those meetings, I was still a State Department employee. Took some time off work to do that. And I was a State Department employee all the times before that too.
You were nervous that day, that day when I would do the triple set.
Well, absolutely.
It was a tough day.
Series of days.
Yes.
Yeah, series of days.
So I don't really know what to say. It's,
well, you're married, right? Yeah. This has got to land on your wife like a giant anvil, I would think.
She didn't opt in. That was not her choice, right? She didn't opt in.
Yeah, I feel terrible. She has suffered immensely because of what I'm doing.
She's an amazing woman.
She is strong and courageous. You know, she has lifelong health issues, genetic. It's hard. It's very hard on her. And she's also a very, you know, artistic and career-driven woman. And so having to manage my inability to provide and my psychological turmoil is a very unfair burden to her. So it's, you know, shit rolls downhill, and ain't that the truth?
Psychological turmoil meaning, you know, the emotional effects of coming forward and the consequences that you're facing. Yeah. I mean, it weighs on you all the time, right?
Those, but I think, you know, I cry basically every morning. And it's mainly because...
Men cry, dude.
Yep. It's mainly because humanity is failing to meet the challenge of our time. We are not doing the right thing collectively. And, you know, the vast majority of that responsibility rests on our leadership. It has rested on our leadership. But that fact does not abrogate people's responsibility to change their conditions. And it is not going to come from above. It has to come from below. The sooner people get off their phones and start thinking about how they can adapt to this reality, which includes a government that does not honor them, does not respect the constitutional rule of law,
and
is subverted by foreign interests.
It's perverted.
Talking about it on Twitter isn't going to change that. Going to a protest isn't going to change that. At one point, we were a people who could organize and achieve political ends. We need to be that again. And that starts with a very correct understanding of our reality and our place in it.
So on a personal level, it affects you financially. You don't have that job anymore. It affects your marriage, and whether it was a good idea or a bad idea has to come up as a comment.
I'm not going to, I leave my true feelings for different video, but protests don't change anything. They just don't, unless it's usually for, you know, one side sometimes. They usually don't. Politicians always lie. cheat and steal. They always will. And they always say, oh, I promise we'll change. What happens? A diversion comes up. Diversion. That, and you find out. Now, I've been seeing this stuff for like thousands of years. History and stuff like how it goes. It doesn't change that. We had to do things, we had to have a revolutionary war. I related to Washington, I related to presidents, all right? We had to do things through force. Let's just say that. I know people like Osmond Gold's going to say protest, everything like that, protest, don't do. And I said, we don't have Gandhi anymore. And even in the time of Gandhi, there was, violence that was happening too with that. But yeah, I mean, it's not like we have a holy guide to change things, but anyways.
Conversation, I would think, often, financial and emotional turmoil. She has health issues. You're not able to really help. You don't have coverage anymore, do you?
No. I do not, and I was a contractor, so I never really had insurance worth speaking up.
Again, the idea of a whistleblower. Yeah, right. Come on, go forward. Go, whistleblowers. We got your back.
Oh, you Twitter got his back?
Twitter, other social media platforms.
Other organizations.
The reality is nobody has your back.
Outside of my friends and family, no, there is, friends and family are the only support I have found institutionally. It's not even worth mentioning.
We got your back.
Yes, of course.
Yeah,
of course you do.
So.
But to your point, George, like the broader public and the government, absolutely not.
You do have some new friends you didn't have before. So, November 2024, this comes out. And then in September of 2025, there's another hearing. And there's a group of people that Jeremy arranged to be there in the room. And you've got to know some of those guys, some of the people who testified. Is there support there? Can you talk about those relationships that have developed?
Yeah. I mean, in general, I can talk in generalities. People, I don't want to betray confidence or put their names out there. But yeah, behind the scenes, there's some very welcome support, including from other whistleblowers that, testified that day under oath.
Everybody testify. Yeah, everybody testify got your back, Matt Brown.
Yeah, so without that support, I don't think, well, number one, I wouldn't have gotten to being in a position to do anything I did. But certainly since then, it's been the only thing that I've really had to lean on.
You talk to them. Hey, we've been there. We've done that. The guys who have testified and have come forward and have done some of what you have done, there is a level of support, emotional at least.
Yeah, Jeff, Alex, Dylan, yourself, all fantastic individuals I can count on. Of course, Jeremy, miracle worker. And then just people that the public doesn't know. I talk to every day.
And a lot of people
help each other.
A lot of people you don't know that talk to me. So there we go.
After that hearing in September of 2025, Jeremy and I went and met with some people that shared information that was amazingly candid and seemingly supportive of what we've been doing.
Is it a federal organization?
It's a federal.
Was it an intelligence agency?
It is.
Do they run all the intelligence agencies in America?
They do. They are umbrella organizations.
Would it be ODNI?
It is. That's good. It was almost like you were there for this. So they told us we're going to get to the bottom of this. We're really digging in. We're authorized by the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, who is interested in this issue, to go out and find credible information, credible sources of information, and they asked us if we would share names of people that we would recommend. Yours was one of them. So can you confirm on the record that you met with those folks?
I did. I met with the DIG, the DIG that was tasked to the UAP portion of the...
Yeah, the DIG, the Director's Initiative, under Tulsi Gabbard, who Tulsi she set it up with multiple parts, and one of those parts was the deep dive investigation on a federal level into UAP. That's what you're talking about for our audience.
Absolutely. There's been a little news of the dig publicly now since the some publication about work that she's done on election fraud, I believe.
She's a gangster. I just want to be really clear. Tulsi Gabbard is a gangster. She is 100% on the level, and she knows bullshit when she hears it. And she stood up an operation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's all I'm going to say. Continue.
Well, I just acknowledging the fact that, yes, I was reached out to by those people, and on the recommendation of friends and other whistleblowers who went and talked with them, I went and spoke with them as well.
How deep did they dig? I mean, they asked you to tell the whole story all over again? How deep did dig? Yeah, I guess.
It's not very. In fact, it was kind of surprising, the questions they didn't ask and the ones they did. We can go into that, but maybe we set the scene a little bit for that day.
Why did they ask those?
Well, go ahead, said it.
Okay, so the time frame is important. It's shortly after the September 9th hearing. A moment of some triumph, I think, for us. We got some very credible people to the stand, and on a personal level, it was very meaningful to see Dylan Borland on the stand under oath. Him and I talked about that moment for years, and worked very hard to help to make that happen. So after that hearing, the word comes into the network that this dig is started up, and a man named
Name Redacted
is running it, and he's interviewing the big names, the UAP whistleblowers who spoke to.
Name Redacted.
Did he have to do that?
And so this man reaches out to me through others.
It's okay, you can talk freely.
And it basically just gets down to, hey, we want to meet, saw your work. We know UAP are real. We want to get to the bottom of it. Come in and meet with us and tell us your story. And,
this is actually a good time for me to say, I mean, OGs like me, older people like me, we're always called it UFOs. Before UFOs, they're called saucers and stuff like that. And the Pentagon and intelligence, them always likes to name them something different so they could keep it a secret and put it under people's radar. Like they instead of UAP, they try to use another acronym, and people didn't feel like using that. They're still using UAP instead of the new one. And they're always going to use different acronyms stuff. I hate that, but anyways, for me, UAP, the reason why I put UAP in my title is because sometimes there's shifts in the sky. I see it sort of almost like a blanket, part of a blanket or shift, a black shift in the sky when there's UFOs. There's like time differences, or time changes. At least for me. And it all seems like, I mean, before with near-death experience and stuff like that, I have been able to see inside and outside of time and space sometimes. I don't know if this is a product of that, or I've been able to do that sometimes, but it's like, I guess you call that unknown aerial phenomena for me. It's when there's like this shift in the sky. There's a black shift or a red shift or whatever. But that's a bit different. You see outside of this dimension and stuff, because as I'm talking about it, I'm also able to see outside this reality as I'm talking right now. It's like I can see outside, and time is different and everything. But anyways.
oh, by the way, we've stood up this UAP whistleblower protection program. We want to tell you about it and have you come sign on the dotted line and learning from their behaviors, what's their agenda and what's going on. And, that's not the mindset going in. But there was certainly a large amount of caution and wariness of betrayal.
In fact, we talked extensively prior to your going in, because we had a good friend, one that I'm speaking of right now, that we had go in and kind of like full Monty, open kimono, show the cards. Now, that operation, I'm going to call it, they have talked with everybody that we have sent them. Everybody. But Matt was early on. He was low-hanging fruit in the sense that we didn't know what we know about them now. So Matt, my point is, we were cautiously optimistic. Is that fair to say when you went in?
Yeah, and people that I had talked to who had been in relayed a positive experience, and were led to believe that, there would be further meetings, and were led to believe that there would be a cooperative investigation that they would be a part of.
Like Dylan as an example, maybe?
That's a good example.
A good example? Okay.
Have you talked to Dylan about your mutual experiences then with these people?
Absolutely. We talk every day.
Like we video call.
Yeah. Is there a conclusion, or have you had an agreement in terms of assessing how it went?
I think so. I think we've arrived at that, and the conclusion is in the negative.
When you hear that ODNI has started an initiative to get to the bottom of things, and a very broad kind of objectives of finding out the truth about UFOs, gathering it all up and doing something with it, are you encouraged? That sounds like, I know how we reacted. Great. Good, let's get to it.
But did we? So we acted that way, but was that what we were thinking?
Well, you know what we were thinking. We're suspicious. I am.
But our audience doesn't know what we were thinking. What were we thinking?
Well, I know I would be suspicious of that kind of a setup, because we've seen it too many times over a lot of decades of, boy, it's time we get to the bottom of this. And really, they all either have ulterior motives or they physical. We spoke to people face to face, and what they were saying is what we wanted to hear. I just recall that when we got an invitation to go meet with these folks, we were suspicious, and then we sat down and spent several hours going through this. They explained what the objectives were, and we were encouraged. We leave that meeting and going, well, shit, if they're sincere, this would really be a great thing. We're
Did you notice
suspicious by nature.
Did you notice that we had a choice of meeting in a cafe, meeting in the visitor center, or meeting in a skiff? And I chose for us the visitor center, because that was a nice middle ground, which was like, if they were going to fuck with our phones, which we left,
Name redacted.
then that would be interesting, and we would have prepared for that. If we didn't go into a skiff, because then maybe that information we would be told you can't talk about. So we went to the visitor center, and that's different than Matt. Matt went into a skiff, and no one's supposed to tell me what happened in a skiff with you. Correct. Okay. Is that fair, George, for me to say? Okay, so now go ahead and tell us what the fuck happened.
Yeah, so I was invited to come to Liberty Crossing, which is an intelligence facility in
You're familiar.
I've been there multiple times in my career, so yes, I'm quite familiar with it. So I was invited there. I was told, access won't be a problem. All your clearances are up to date, so you are cleared to come into our facility, and we will put you in a room with us. We can talk about anything in there.
And it's supposed to be confidential, 100%?
Yeah, absolutely.
So they couldn't tell a journalist what you talked about in there?
I would certainly hope not.
Okay.
So the day comes, I go to this location. I take the metro there. I meet the contact
Name redacted.
in a car in the parking lot, and I'm taken to Liberty Crossing, check in like a normal visitor's process to intelligence facility. So it's like I'm back in school, right?
Did you bring your phone?
No, I didn't bring any technology with me.
Why?
Well, I had learned from others who had gone that people who went to Liberty Crossing and brought their phone with them came out of their meeting and found that their phone had been hacked, the entire content on it duplicated, and that when ODNI security was informed of that, they were told that it wasn't them who had messed with their phone, and that's just very strange. Sorry. So to me, that seems like a very good reason to not bring any electronic devices.
It's fair to say that also, as a patriot, that you've been warned about foreign intelligence gathering on you, and you wanted to protect the United States of America by giving whistleblower statement, and so you also were preparing to not allow that to happen.
Yeah, and as to that, you know, instead of taking an Uber, I took the metro. So, you know, I didn't, you know, make any sort of big deal about what was going on. It was just supposed to be another day, and then I just leave the house and I come back and nothing strange happened. Apparently the fact that I took such measures, simple as they are, it upset some people and made me a super spy. But no, I am always concerned from day one about foreign intelligence, tracking my activities and my words.
It was your job. You worked in like nuclear matters. Yeah.
And so, you know, to this day, that's part of my daily risk assessment. So I go there. We are taken to the basement. This is in the middle of the government shutdown, so it's kind of a ghost town. And I'm expecting to go to like the formal conference rooms in the basement, but we end up going to essentially a conference room converted into storage / working office space. Very X-Files, molder in the basement with boxes.
Was that set up for you, do you think, or do you think?
They even referenced the fact that they were like the X-Files office in the basement of the building. So again, the whole reason of me being there, at least for me, is to find out about a UAP whistleblower protection program, and, you know, find out what that is and get myself into it.
So they're going to protect you because they recognize you as a UAP whistleblower.
Correct.
And that's why you're going in.
And this program had been offered to friends who had gone in before. You know, they received a document, reviewed it and signed it. And I'm basically expecting, you know, that's how our meeting starts, to hear about this program, get into it, relay the basics of my story. They already saw the interview, so what more do you need? And then figure out, you know, what can I do to help? I'm also bringing in additional information that was not from government sources, and providing that to them as a gesture of goodwill and trust. So, you know, that's the experience I'm expecting to have. And the experience I got was a very wide-ranging, free-flowing conversation. Definitely some specific questions built in there.
But in a skiff.
But in a skiff, yes, we were in a skiff, absolutely. And
are you legally allowed to say what happened in that skiff?
Unclear. I think I'm okay to talk about what I talked about, but not the details of why I said what I said.
Did you sign anything?
No, so that's the most concerning thing for me. The whole reason of having that meeting never came about. The UAP whistleblower program by ODNI was never offered to me. I was never briefed on it. The only thing I was informed of was that, you know, do I want to become an ICIG UAP whistleblower? Very different thing. And I'm like, no, I see no advantage in that. Based on my friends' experience who have done the same thing, it is a trap. I want
Dylan.
Correct. And that was the end of that conversation, and that happened maybe 15 to 30 minutes in. Certainly not how we started out, and moved on from there. It was very concerning, but I didn't raise my concern at the time because I'm waiting. You know, maybe we get to the end and they talk about this. Of course, never.
So they didn't, like I was told by them, they didn't offer you a piece of paper to sign to protect yourself, and you didn't decline to sign it.
No.
So that was a lie, I was told. Is that correct?
Correct. No paper was offered to me. No program was described to me. When I indicated my disinterest in joining the ICIG with UAP whistleblower process, the conversation moved on and was not revisited.
So they didn't offer.
Man, I was lied to a bunch, George.
Was there further contact with the two people in the room since you were in the skiff and had that conversation? Have you stayed in touch with them? And if so, can you share what that conversation was about?
Name redacted.
Yes.
There was limited contact afterwards. The meeting ended with me, being invited to come back the very next week and talk with them again, get into some of the details about the general issues I had raised. And those general issues, were UAP related, but I also, was invited to talk about, hey, do you have any other concerns about, your time? We're a black box. You can say anything here. It's safe, get it out. And I think,
did they ask you for names of other people that they should talk to?
I can't recall that, and I don't think I would have provided them.
Oh, of course you wouldn't. I just want to say, George, I bet if Tulsi Gabbard knew what people were doing on her behalf, that she would be fucking furious. Because I think she's on the level. So I just, I hope this airs.
Be on the level,
I hope so too.
Much, yeah.
So I think without
I hope she
crossing a line, I think the topics discussed can be discussed here.
Okay.
And, I came in very skeptical. And so part of that skepticism...
Just because certain people could be on the level and want to get the truth out doesn't mean the people around them, they're in the same department as her. They could be agents to set her up, him up, and other people take a fault. They could be there just like CIA's counter, espionage. There's their counter spy agency sabotage as well. People are trained to, and people will be used by people in intelligence to sabotage, people like him, and even people like me, or other people that could be a threat to them. They'll have people in that department that have a good record, and they'll try to sabotage them and everything. So it's one big reason with things, about me, I don't really trust anybody. Hardly. I don't. I've been through a lot of stuff. So
shaped my behavior, and that was to see, okay, if this is a real, genuine initiative, this is going to be a continuing relationship. They are going to seek to build a rapport with me and be concerned about my safety and well-being. And if those, indicators are not observed, then, this is, not as advertised, or at least I am not perceived favorably. So I resolved to basically say as little as possible about my UAP knowledge, especially anything outside of the Immaculate Constellation report itself. And I took that opportunity to raise other issues to see how they would react. In my mind, there's no greater issue to the United States government than the UAP NHI problem set. So I chose a lesser one and raised that topic to see how they would respond if they're serious national security professionals. They'll recognize what I'm talking about and be interested in investigating that more. And so that issue was specific to Israel, and I raised my concerns about the October 7th attack on Israel and intelligence I was very familiar with from the region. Very serious subject, but it still ranks below UAP. If they are not willing to engage in good faith on managing the apparent misdeeds by our closest ally, how can I trust them to handle our nation's most closely guarded secret?
Because the dig is supposed to be looking at corruption. That's what Tulsi wanted, right? So is that what, am I reading that right?
I'm not familiar with what Tulsi's objectives were, but she seems like a, dedicated individual. It's not her fault. Her staff did not fulfill her, intent.
They did the opposite with the UAP thing, and you're providing intelligence from your professional career on something of national security.
Yeah.
And what, did they wave you off?
No, they actually wanted to know not so much about the specifics of that, but what information I had access to that led me to that conclusion. What compartments and subcompartments I was reading. Basically, by their questions. They wanted to know how I knew what I knew in order to go correct that in the future and ensure that information was sequestered. Predictable. I don't know if that's the course taken, but that's what I expect was. So I won't go into the details about why I think those things, because I am no longer a government employee. I was not a government employee when I went into ODNI. I was told by them that I could speak freely in there, but I was offered no paperwork to confirm that. So I'm being cautious here, but also, you know, it is a very telling sign what they did afterwards with my concerns about the actions of Israel and our government and really.
What did they do afterwards?
I think just briefly here can state that they took my concerns about what happened that day and spun it as me having an anti-Jew agenda.
An anti-what?
Jew.
Yeah.
Okay, like you hate the Jewish
I
people?
hate Jewish people, that I'm an anti-Semite.
Okay.
And that I, have hatred in my heart because of October 7th about Israel and the Jewish people.
When I told him that he was at a Jewish wedding, motherfucker, we had just gone to one, yeah.
No, I was literally at one of my very dear friends' weddings, and it was a Jewish wedding, so,
like
Mazel tov.
Mazel tov. They were trying to paint him. I'm going to really infuriate him, and I see him like twitching, and I want to be careful because it's really painful, but I'm going to tell him the 3 things I was told about him that are untrue, the lies. But continue, I don't want to interrupt. And George has a pressing question.
Yeah, and I think the key thing is, I didn't say what I was upset about. I told them because of who I am and what I had access to, I saw October 7th in a way the vast majority of people didn't. And it greatly affected me. And I didn't say in which way, right? I didn't say it had swayed my beliefs to support the Israeli cause or swayed my belief to support the Palestinian cause. The truth of it is, it hardened my heart against the Palestinians. It made me hate them. Seeing what they did to women, especially, and babies and children, hardened my heart to them, and I'm ashamed to admit it. But I did not tell ODNI that. So if anything, based on the reality of my reaction to that day, I would be very pro-Semitic, very pro-Israel in my actions.
And they tried to spin it. Because I'm not a political... George can maybe translate for me. I'm stunted politically. But let me just tell you, the brush with which you were painted directly after you were in the skiff, it takes about 3 weeks for them to flip their idea on me. ODNI contacted me, and they told me, and just take this on the chin, this is what they said, I want your response. They told me 3 things. They said, Matthew Brown is a racist Jew hater. They said, not they, one individual from ODNI told me,
those bitches trying to set him up.
Matthew Brown is a racist Jew hater.
I got chills.
I believe those were the exact words. I need to look at, back in my brain, sure, figure it out. The other thing that was told to me was that Matthew Brown admitted.
That's why I said do not trust ODNI. When they say that he can still get into special access programs, does clearance. Because I know that the government will set you up. It's like a whistleblower. If you want to not be stupid enough to go back into that, they will set you up, and then they'll put you as the fall guy. That's what they'll do. I know the government. I know what Russia does this as well. They do this a lot. They do this over there. Set up guys as fall guys. One guy make a mistake and they say that's all right. You come back in. You come back in. We take care of you. All right, Mikael. We take care of you, Mikael. All right. Get him in there. Set him up for a fall. Hey, you did this. Off with your head, you get shot, or whatever, Anyways, Yeah, that's why. Do not trust them, bro. Do not. They'll set you up. I know
to completely making up and fabricating that he saw an immaculate constellation document in the files.
Right.
And that he admitted to me that Matthew Brown made that up. He came up with the name, that he made it up. And the third big lie that was told to me, if I recall, was that I think the third point of the brush that they painted with was that the words counter-espionage and treason, I believe it was treason or a word
treason.
like that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. That's what was said to me by an official in ODNI who told me, gossiping,
right.
spilling the tea about what you said in a private skiff meeting where you were supposed to go in to be protected as a whistleblower. Will you address those three things right now?
Yeah. So obviously I am not an anti-Semite. I'm not a Jew hater. I grew up in elementary school with a large Jewish cohort.
I went to elementary school too.
I don't remember it anymore, but we had to learn Hebrew at the time. We celebrated Hanukkah. Since then, this is just so ridiculous.
So the guy lied to me.
Absolutely. And I mean, yes, the day that I heard the news, you can't beat fate. Or yeah, I'm at my dear friend's wedding, and it's a Jewish wedding.
The day I told you.
Yes, the day you told me. I'm there celebrating. It's Jewish families.
I was never told that I can't tell you what you supposedly said in a skiff to ODNI, so I feel fine that George, I was never told I can't tell him that.
And then the last thing that just makes it really ridiculous is my family has Jewish blood in it. We've confirmed it through DNA testing.
So you're a self-hating Jew.
The very definition, right? Yeah. So it's I was actually shocked that was the tack they took.
Right.
I thought they would try to discredit just the information about that about October 7th, but no, they tried to discredit me.
I need a beer. I'm sorry, because the next. Can I give you guys a beer?
I'll take one.
Okay, that's sweet. It's called a Bad Hombre. This is mine and George's. I hate the beer. I love the can. Bad Hombre. Not a sponsor of Weaponized. Okay, check it out. That's crazy, man. Because what I'm thinking is, if that doesn't work, what's the opposite of that? And that's what Odie and I will try to do. Because, but let me just say, I'm going to just say.
I did not see that out. I hate the beer, but I love it. Why are you drinking it? Why are you drinking something that you hate? Are you fucking out of your mind? I don't understand. Does anybody else understand? I do not understand. What the fuck are you doing?
So
I
know what the agenda of the UFO arm of the dig was to do underneath Tulsi Gabbard's nose, directed by the CIA, indirectly, sure. But I know for sure, and I know as a fact what they were to do was to discredit you, Dylan, Lou Elizondo, David Grush, huge target, didn't fall for it.
Us.
Oh no, I'm not sure it was to discredit us. It was for us to do the dirty work for them, to mistrust the words told to us by the people I've listed, including now Jay Stratton, Eric Davis, Hal Putoff. Can I go on?
James Lakatsky,
Dr. James Lakatsky, Dr. Colin Kelleher. Like it's just, that was the agenda. But let me just one level deeper. The true intent of the UFO dig project under Tulsi, which is not Tulsi's fault and she's wise as fuck, is that they wanted to stand up an operation to influence Congress to put down the bone on UFOs by saying everybody that's ever stood up there, including Commander David Fravor, Senior Chief Wiggins, everybody, that was, they want them to drop the bone and they had an influence campaign set.
That is an intelligence operation being run by the
X.
U.S. intelligence community against the U.S. Congress.
That
I
is
can't
right.
think of anything more illegal.
So that is right, and I can prove it. Okay, so I get it. Their attack was going to be you're an anti-Semite or something stupid. Okay, so low-level bullshit. So now...
And they're not really reading the room very well.
They're not reading the room. They didn't look at your DNA. They didn't look at when I called you. They didn't look at your... you bring in... They're fucking idiots. Okay, so here's the next thing. That you completely made up the Immaculate Constellation original briefing, you call it, that you saw that it was never there. And in fact, when Matt Brown found out that we have a perfect digital memory of what survives when on servers, that Matt deflated. Is that what happened, Matt?
No, not at all.
What did happen?
So I was asked specifically to walk through step by step my discovery of the Immaculate Constellation briefing, which occurred when I was a contractor for OSD policy. And I did so just like I recited on Weaponized, because it's a boring story at this point, and so I will just say it.
So I feel like I have to say this for people that have not gone through the whole thing, is that there are people in our government that is working with Tulsi Gabbard, who just happens to be there as well, is that they are lying about our own whistleblowers. There are people in our own department that are setting our whistleblowers up and saying that they are liars, that they are committing treason, and they're not. And that they are, anti-Semites or this or that, haters or whatever. I mean, what they'd probably even say that they're racist as well. And this is our own government, people in our own government that are doing this against our own people, against UFO stuff coming out. That they'll say, lie, do anything. Or they say that he's a pedo too. I wouldn't doubt that. I wouldn't doubt it whatsoever.
3 sentences. I was doing volunteer duty to clean a top secret SCI share drive, and by clean means to organize the files that through the course of business just get left and scattered everywhere. The 2018 Shriver Wargame file stood out in no way. I just opened it to figure out where it should be categorized, and that file is the Immaculate Constellation briefing document. And then, I described the process of reporting, or attempting to report it, just like I laid out on the show. You can go watch the
watch the first episode of Web.
Yeah, so I mean, nothing changed in that room at all, except that from them, they said, okay, that makes sense. And then to you, they're saying that I made it up and that I am cringing when they're talking about a digital record.
Deflating. So did you make up that you saw the...
Not at all.
Right.
No,
so you
not at
saw
all.
the report.
It is a briefing. It is a briefing.
All right, my word. You saw the briefing. Okay.
Yes.
Cool. Good. It's on the record now. What was the third thing that they told me that we're going to tell you? That you were running a counterintelligence operation. It was basically espionage to the American government. Why would they tell me that and tell me the truth?
Yeah, so that comes from the very end of our conversation. We're getting up to leave the room. Cutting it short, actually. I was told it'd be a 4 to 6 hour day. We're there less than that. So I get up from the room and I say, I don't know why I'm telling you this, but that Immaculate Constellation report, that was an op. That was an operation. And that operation is why I have so much confidence that what I wrote down is true. Because I vetted that information against, people who would know. And, maybe next time when we're talking, we can talk about, some of the people who I found out were lying by coordinating my report.
Who was lying? Say their names or don't.
I don't want to say that here.
Okay.
Yeah. There also won't be names that people would know.
Interesting. Okay, so because the world's going to go crazy, who was he about to say? There'd be names that people wouldn't know.
I mean,
correct.
To be
good.
Honest, if these guys, if I thought that they might kill me like they could out with other people, I probably would put their names out there. I would. That's just me, but, Of course, I told my father to disavow secrets he knew, and he'd been around chemicals, stuff like that. He kept a lot of secrets to his grave, and I told him, I said I'd tell people everything, F the government. They don't care about you guys. They don't care about you guys. They don't give a shit about you. They don't. And you only protect the people that have your backs, that care about your physical and mental health. Never, ever have somebody's back that will stab you in the back.
Tell me. Go.
So, a spicy thing to say, but it's, it's a key part, and it's part of the process of that report. So I'll lay it out for you exactly what that is. If they didn't come back and ask, yeah. So what it is, to go back in time, I became a whistleblower, not with a report. I went into Sissy, entirely verbal testimony. And people can look back at the history of, the outcomes from that. And then the genesis of, okay, you're saying that you didn't write down what I told you, that you didn't take notes, that you didn't share your information with Sask, Hask, Hipsy. I'm going to write a report. When I give it to you, it's going to be your problem. So that is when the field report first starts getting drafted. What am I writing that field report about? Well, what are the questions of the day? It's the fact of UAP, it's the credibility of Mr. Elizondo, and it's just the general blanket denial inside the national security enterprise of this, of the UAP issue is being real. So the report addresses all of those points. It doesn't address everything I know or everything I talked about with Sissy or Sask. And I'm a very conscientious person about my sourcing.
Yes, you are.
With that. And so, I'm putting something forward, not just from me, but it's theoretically going to Congress to drive an investigation and action.
That's what you wanted. You wanted action on what you found.
Right.
Corruption, deception, lies, malfeasance, is that a word?
Malfeasance.
Harm-feasance. Harm done to people.
Harm done to people.
Okay. And so, there's 7 categories of evidence in the report. The first one is the briefing. And then when we get to the end, that says sensitive sources from mouth to ear.
What the fuck did that mean?
That is an indication of the level of secrecy. Those are humans behind that information.
Human intelligence, humans.
Yes.
Have you published that information publicly?
No, and I didn't even write it down. I compiled what I had learned into bullet points. That way the information was aggregated and not being sourced to in a single individual.
Smart.
Can we publish that now for the world to see in some way?
No.
Okay. I had to try.
No.
You had to. I get it.
It's human lives.
Okay.
And end of the day, it is supporting evidence, right? That is a document, 7 bodies of evidence.
He's listening up that
supporting one conclusion. UAP are real. I'm not going to burn people's names that are good people just to satisfy curiosity.
You did say, though, that you had access to a conversation between Sean Kirkpatrick and Rubio. Now, the question online has been, how did you get access to a document, a written document, about Rubio's private, who's now Rubio's like a big boss. Smart. So how did you get access when he was a senator to the information? Because you're not in a position to have that, bro. So how did you get the access to the information, if it's true, and you're saying it is true, that Rubio and Kirkpatrick were in a room, and you said it ran my blood cold. I think in the last episode you said that. I'm not going to ask you how you got access. How can you let me know, and George know, and the world know, that that is accurate information? What is the way you can do that?
You can FOIA the records of Ronald Moultrie from OUSD Intelligence and Security.
FOIA, Freedom of Information.
Thank you.
Act.
He was the guy at the first hearing.
Correct.
Who didn't know anything.
Correct.
Maybe Ice Dick could do that for us.
But to finish the Immaculate Con is a con line of reasoning. So that document was circulated to very trusted people. Some of them turned out to not be trustworthy, and that is a vetting process of the information and ensuring that the conclusions that I'm putting forward to Congress on record, on pain of my freedom and death, that it's true.
You did it right, and you did
so
the cost.
It is an operation to verify truth and bring truth to Congress. I would have explained all of that gladly, but I said, I don't know why I'm telling you this.
Name redacted.
I'm telling him this as we leave a room that is most likely recorded. I'm telling him this in hallways.
Oh, it was recorded. Your skiff meeting with...
Name redacted.
I'm sure of it.
The point that I'm getting at is this tidbit of information, the Israel information, and a third thing we'll get to. All were given to...
Name redacted.
To see what he would do. If this is a good faith effort.
I was getting intelligence about what was happening with Israel, about, the fact that it was done on Putin's birthday, I think is a bit more of a coincidence than people think. Most people don't know that October 7th, which this happened on, was Putin's birthday. Putin needed that diversion because of Ukraine. It was going bad and everything, and he said, I need a diversion. And it's like Iran, Hamas, Hezbollah, and everything. He said, okay, we need to open up another front. We're going to open up this. We got stuff planned already and everything. Let's do it. And it's like Russia says, okay, I'll do this. I'll help you with intel, stuff like this and everything. And so there's attacks that was happening before this. There's things that led up to this, that before this, like Pearl Harbor happened with Israel and everything. And me, I saw things happen, before this as well, where there was more attacks were happening from, Gaza, Palestinian area. So there's stuff that I was getting, and I knew there's going to be another front. Now, was it going to be from, of course, Taiwan, or was it going to be Iran? Or could it be, Israel? It's one of those. It's one of those. I knew that. I knew something was going to happen. We didn't know exactly which place first. Is it going to be, Taiwan? Is it going to be, again, Israel, Iran, or whatever? North Korea is just like that guy has a fascination with big boy toys, But anyways, it's like
this information will be treated respectfully, and it will be used to conduct a lawful investigation. If it is not a good faith effort, well, this information is very damning to me personally, but it's not to the country.
So you're testing ODNI's, not their fortitude, their agenda.
Their loyalty.
Their loyalty to America?
Yes, to the Constitution.
To the Constitution.
Right.
They don't.
The third thing that we talked about, that I brought there of my concerns, was whistleblowers and their treatment since coming forward in public. Specifically, how there have been coordinated online attacks against myself, Dylan Borland, David Grush, Lou Elizondo, Jeff Mixatelli. I think Alex escaped, but the point is it's systematic and it's ongoing to this day. We have identified the main players and found that they are active duty service members or reserve service members with active clearances doing this on their work time from work computers.
That's right.
And that this network of shit talkers is directly traced back to legacy program security, and that legacy program security is actively running disinformation operations and psychological operations against UAP whistleblowers, their friends, and their family. Worse than that, they are taking human intelligence methods and applying them to us in order to disrupt our lives and
It's not
basically to
counteraction,
drive
it's
us
just
to
asking
either
about
commit
something.
suicide or become so ostracized from our friends and family that we are no longer a threat. Specifically, they are sending Office of Special Investigations agents to people's families to break apart their families, to break apart marriages, to this day, to pull children away from their parents. And these are not the parents, these are not parents who are whistleblowers. They are people who have helped us. It's completely unacceptable. I took some of that evidence there and brought it up. And in fact, I took more than just screenshots and posts and information about low-level players. We found one of the key players in the legacy security architecture lately or currently at Northrop Grumman. And his name is...
Name redacted.
Show us a photo of that.
I have it right here.
The person that
I know you do. Before we look at this photo, not only that, you could prove it beyond a shadow of a doubt in the court of law. And if anything were to happen to you or anybody, then it'll all be put out anyway.
Yes, and it's not just me.
Yes.
You know, in my last interview, I said that it's been a long, hard road to find out. And in fact, I took more than just screenshots and posts and information about low-level players. We found one of the key players in the legacy security architecture lately or currently at Northrop Grumman. And his name is...
Name redacted.
Show us a photo of that.
I have it right here.
I know you do. Before we look at this photo, not only that, you could prove it beyond a shadow of a doubt in the court of law. And if anything were to happen to you or anybody, then it'll all be put out anyway.
Let me tell you kids something. That I've been around it. I'm sure you probably know about this and may have forgotten. Alright, I've been around this a lot longer. Sorry, Jeremy. You get a lot more stuff sometimes than I do. I understand that. I'm not trying to have big ego here. Thing is, they've come in, the government's come into courts, intelligence and stuff like that, have come into court, the government, and said, we cannot give this to the judge. They will block a stupid piece of shit judge, black robe guy, flesh bag, and say, you do not have right to access that. That's a need to know basis. They'll tell any judge, you do not have top secret clearance. You do not have secret clearance to that. You know, this is need to know, and you little flesh bag judge don't have that. A judge does not have power or authority over intelligence stuff like this. I know because I've seen cases where people have, you know, taken stuff like this to court, and stuff like this is stuff that has to do with national security. National security, that goes over any stupid judge. That's where line cuts. That's it. It's over. No more evidence can be put into court. National security trumps everything. Okay? That's just a fact. So, the thing is, like I said, with my father and other guys I've known, that's why I've told them, F the government. Especially when they don't care about you. Say everything and say F them unless, you know, I mean, I get where that 25 years to life comes in. You know, if you say something. Then again, if you're already dying, that's where I'd say, fuck you, fuck the government, fuck national security. They use national security to brainwash people, to say, what you're doing is for the good of the country, it's for the people. It's not. It's for the good of their wallets. It's for the good of the crimes that they're committing by keeping UFOs and keeping psychic stuff, psionic stuff, secret programs secret. They brainwash people all the time, you know, and say this is for, you know, national security reasons. It's not. It isn't. It's all BS. And it's like I told people, say, have that evidence. I say, if your life is being threatened, put it out there. Put everything out there. F them. Because they're starting to kill people again. People are disappearing. And stuff.
Yes, and it's not just me.
Yes.
In my last interview, I said that it's been a long, hard road to find allies. Have them now, and I do. And we are done taking punches and not punching back.
Name redacted.
Is responsible.
Okay,
Why
so
did you have to?
has been responsible for a lot of what you're talking about current day.
Current day as it relates to the UAP problem, he is a nexus point for legacy security. He's part of the dirty tricks department. People bring names that need to be handled to this individual. This person looks at those names, matches it to the capabilities to go achieve XYZ objectives, and then the result.
This is who we call, anybody of us that know about secret stuff or any of these programs, we call these guys Bob. We call it Bob or whatever. Just like Bob Lazar did. It's a name that I've grown accustomed to a lot with other people that've been around this stuff, and I hear stuff. It's a term that the government uses, Bob. So
is an ecosystem flooded with disinformation and psychological operations and targeted attacks against whistleblowers and their allies.
How do you know?
So I cannot reveal everything about this because I am communicating it for others.
And what is his current role in government, if any?
No role in government, but in the military-industrial complex. He is most recently at Northrop Grumman. And the little title he has here that people might find interesting is Deputy SAPCO for DARPA.
Wait, what does SAPCO mean? And are you sure this is a photo of him?
I'm 100% sure. And, we have a career history outside of this one appointment in 2009.
What is that?
I invite people to look up stuff. Maybe if YouTube still, I know YouTube has taken down a lot of stuff about, what DARPA has, special weapons. And I've seen one guy in particular. He was making lasers and how make that amplify lasers. And this guy had like 12 different lasers on one thing, on one device. And if you amped it the right way, you could just shred a huge tree with those lasers and everybody else. The stuff that DARPA has is the stuff that you'd see that in Star Wars itself. Even, those films don't even have that stuff in it. It's crazy, and they haven't even allowed it into the military yet, but they've had some of the stuff for decades. It's just that they feel like it's uncivil to have in mainstream military, but they have it there just in case.
What does that mean?
It means that
Name redacted.
has been exposed. We have mapped him, his history, and his network, and the people that he knows.
The image.
He is done. He is off the board.
Off the chessboard.
Correct.
You mean right now because we're showing his face?
Now publicly, but I brought that information to Odie and I specifically to let them know that I knew who he was.
You showed Odie and I this photo?
Yes. I sent them this photo.
How did they respond? And when you're saying you sent Odie and I, you sent it primarily...
Name redacted.
With other documents on Signal. Yeah. That document and other documents.
How did he respond?
No response.
Zero.
To anything that I gave them.
It's funny. There's no response to Dylan about, wanting to check what Dylan told him in that skiff to double check that it wasn't tampered with. And there's no There's been no response. There's been a government shutdown was a reason that was told to Dylan that he couldn't come back in to verify and you know what he said. But you went in during the government shutdown, so that doesn't make sense to me.
It's a bullshit excuse.
It is.
Both submitting the statement to Congress and after, has there been surveillance of you, your house, your wife, your home, your phones, anything like that you picked up on?
So I said as much before, yes, nothing I can ever prove, and that hasn't changed. I still have, inboxes that people shouldn't be aware of, receiving messages with attachments from junk emails. I still have, strange occurrences in terms of people walking by my house multiple times and just doing nothing and looking around.
Somebody broke into your house and laid your wife's IDs out, and as if they're filming them, and they took your grandfather's ashes and smashed them as a trash can.
Sorry, I was talking about since the weaponized.
No, but did we talk about that in the last episode? Did we reveal that?
I think we did. Yeah.
Okay, so
Doesn't
I have gun. I have coffee.
right. So I'm just saying, I know because I have been the recipient of photographs of both you and other people where X's were painted on your sidewalk.
Correct.
And so that seems like a crazy thing to say, except for the fact that it happened to multiple whistleblowers.
I don't know why we saw this shit. I don't know why, but just an image of Nancy Guthrie and shit. I don't know why. Some stuff, the strange shit. I don't know.
We were preparing, George and I were preparing to be able to talk in front of Congress. So it's really a fucked up game.
I did not know that the X thing had happened to others.
We'll talk about that later.
But yeah, it is a fucked up game. We are Americans doing what is best for our country. And
are we?
Yes, you and I and George, everyone here is doing what is best for our country, 100%.
I'm shaking my head for a different reason.
Just to get to the end of this very unfortunate man and meeting.
Name redacted.
He asked me at the end of the meeting,
Corbell,
wrapping up.
If you ever see this, I swear to freaking God, stop doing that. You can have the image on there, but you should know that it drives us freaking insane. I'm over half deaf, okay? And I know this is coming out loud, okay? For me, I'm over half deaf. It's loud to me. It's pissing me off, brother. Okay? Please, just put the image on there.
Pierre, is there anything you want to say to Tulsi Gabbard? Is there anything you want to tell her? And I thought about it and I said, yes, there is. And that is that there are traitors in your midst. We have been infiltrated and subverted from the inside by treasonous people who do not serve the interests of the United States government. They do not respect the constitutional rule of law, and they do not respect human life. They only respect power and gain. I told them that. I stand by it today. Traitors are in our midst. They are in the highest echelons of our intelligence community, our military. They are working right now against the interests of this country and its citizens.
Name redacted.
Counts as one of them. So one thing I have to add is that while I can't confirm or share, the means by which we identified,
name redacted,
and verified his information, I can share that I personally went and vetted that information with people who would know his position, and also people who wouldn't know.
How much I really love him.
The people who wouldn't know confirm that I have no idea who that is. So that's very good for me to know that they're not going to pretend that they know someone just to be of value to me. And then the people who should have known did admit that they knew who it was, confirming to me that they are still trustworthy to me. So I'm very certain.
Name redacted.
Is a nexus point for the Dirty Tricks Department of Legacy, most recently in Northrop Grumman.
Why did I be tested tonight?
And that he is personally responsible for leading the activities against UAP whistleblowers.
A couple of days ago, at the time we're recording this, President Trump, in responding to comments made by the former President Barack Obama, did some sort of one-upsmanship in which he said, look, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. He issues this directive. I want every federal agency to look through their files, anything related to UFOs, UAP, USOs, aliens, ETs, find those files and come forward.
Of course, we've heard Obama.
Are you encouraged by that at all? Do you think it will result in any kind of
stuff.
meaningful information that comes forward that hasn't been made public before?
So, I am grateful that people.
I don't think that Obama likes where Trump was told more about, or knew more than Obama was told. I remember them telling Clinton where they didn't want to tell him stuff, even though they have signed stuff, to help keep stuff a secret, which presidents, not parents, presidents do. So Obama now is like leaking, that aliens, ETs are real and at these places and stuff like that, and it's irking Trump. It's like Trump is saying, "How dare you? Not supposed to say that. It's supposed to be classified." Well, people like me have always known that ETs, humans, are working together. That they've existed. They've been here forever, just about. So it's like, I think Obama's like, I think he's playing Trump, saying, "Hey, I dare you, put that stuff out. I'm to talk." It's like, you better be your word.
In positions of power, or who held positions of power, are acknowledging some degree of the reality of this, even if they're using terminology that lets them weasel their way out of being specific.
Weasel words, as George says.
But will this initiative result in disclosure and justice? I have very little confidence in that, and that is not because of any specific things I've heard about the Trump White House attitude towards disclosure or UAP. It is informed directly by their handling of the Epstein file release, the ongoing dog's dinner they have made of it, and the disinformation.
Days ago, at the time we're recording this, President Trump, in responding to comments made by the former President Barack Obama, did some sort of one-upsmanship in which he said, "Look, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. He issues this directive. I want every federal agency to look through their files, anything related to UFOs, UAP, USOs, aliens, ETs, find those files and come forward with it." Are you encouraged by that at all? Do you think it will result in any kind of meaningful information that comes forward that hasn't been made public before?
Probably not.
So, I am grateful that people in positions of power, or who held positions of power, are acknowledging some degree of the reality of this, even if they are using terminology that lets them weasel their way out of being specific.
Weasel words, as George says.
But will this initiative result in disclosure and justice? I have very little confidence in that, and that is not because of any specific things I've heard about the Trump White House attitude towards disclosure or UAP. It is informed directly by their handling of the Epstein file release, the ongoing dog's dinner they have made of it, and the disinformation that they are spreading to obscure the wrongdoings that are contained in there. And
everybody's getting away with murder with the Epstein thing. It's not just about Trump. It's about there are Democrats involved in this as well. Republicans and Democrats are people from intelligence that is involved in this. People from Chase Banking, the highest, most powerful people around the world. Millionaires, multimillionaires, billionaires are connected to this, and it proves, like I said, that the rich and the powerful can get away with murder and stuff like that. But if it's someone like us, we're in there for life. If we commit a crime, we're going to get the door slammed on us. But if Congress or, these rich, powerful people that have influence do it, do whatever you want. Like I said, P. Diddy, he was the person that did stuff with celebrities and people in the music industry, Hollywood and stuff. And I know people in Hollywood are sick. They talk about eating kids as well as Epstein people. But Epstein, he was on the government level and the World Economic Forum level, okay, and of powerful people and stuff. So, and I heard that P. Diddy wanted to meet Epstein, and pretty much Epstein rebuffed him or something. So, the thing is, this isn't just about Trump. Trump has done stuff. So are all these other people. If you go after Trump, you have to go after everybody, not just one. It's not one political party. It's all these rats that are getting away with it, and these women, that have gone through abuse or have been killed or whatever to keep this stuff a secret, and they don't care about justice. They don't give a shit about it. Anyways, let's move on.
Let's be very clear. The lawfully demanded files that are supposed to be released are not. This is a constitutional crisis. The executive is directly contravening the will of the legislative branch. Are we just going to lie to...
This is the thing. There are Democrats also as well that don't want the truth out. Even some stuff that Clinton did, they're helping him. They're helping Clinton. They're helping Trump. They're helping all these other people, okay, that are involved with Epstein. There are people in intelligence that people don't know about in the higher ups that were involved with Epstein, that are making sure to get some stuff scrubbed. And the only way to get all out is to have everything unredacted, just about. Because stuff that's redacted is only helping the guilty. It's not helping the victims. So,
down and let this injustice be swept under the rug? Or will we say enough is enough? If we will not say enough is enough to the enslavement and rape of our children,
right,
how can we hope to do the same for UAP? So far, we are not meeting the challenge that's been put before our country by the Epstein files. I think that is a bad sign of what is to come if disclosure is pursued in this administration.
There's some practical considerations here too. I mean, a directive as opposed to an executive order. What authority does it have? The records we're talking about would need to be declassified before they can be made.
It is nonsense. Completely. According to President Trump, he can declassify anything just by thinking about it. There's nothing stopping him from going today on front of a camera and sharing everything he has been officially informed in his 2 terms as president of the United States of America.
Could be killed. I think they probably.
There is no procedure that needs to be followed other than what we decide is appropriate.
To be honest, I'll honestly say, Trump could, just without telling anybody, without warning anybody, just say, hey, this stuff is real. Thing is, a lot of us know that this stuff is real. The problem is that there's all this criminal activity associated, not just Epstein, but with keeping UFOs a secret. There's human trafficking, being involved with psychic programs that we have, psychic and psionic programs that we have, for using people to down extraterrestrial craft and also communicate with others and have spying by using psychics. I can remote view sometimes. I've been able to do that myself sometimes. But it's about all of the criminal activity and the stuff, murder that has taken place as well. But honestly, Trump, if he didn't tell anybody, he just goes and say stuff's real. But they don't want accountability. The government does not want to be held accountable. They want to be above us by this and everything.
I got an admission to make. I don't know if we can air this shit, but so why I have a little bit of hope that people are so scared about what Trump might do that we're moving in a cool direction is I had a scheduled conversation with I'll say a comms a heavyweight from the comms Department of War underneath the Department of War from the Pentagon. And that was like for like the day before the presidential address, State of the Union. And I got a call the day prior to that, a scheduled meeting, and it said emergency. And I go, well, me and George can't hop on the phone, so you better FaceTime me right now. Got a FaceTime in my car, right? Like waiting to go into a thing for my mom's birthday. And there was a here's what I can say. There was a meeting that occurred at 9 a.m. DC time the day before, I believe, the day before the State of the Union. And they wanted to know my and George's opinion from a comms perspective if there was going to be, say, about 7 different agencies, including Aero, including ODNI, including other alphabet soup agencies and groups. And they wanted to get, so let's say somebody wanted to be the most informed person in the room. So I was like, okay, cool. Here's what George and I would say, because weirdly enough, I wrote down these 4 steps that need to occur for disclosure. And I identified what the first step might be. And I think George might agree with me. He's probably got a smarter version, but this is what I got. But here's the deal. You have a problem. And they go, what's the problem? And I go, while you're in that meeting, I'm going on international news with someone from Britain, Piers Morgan. And at the end, I'm going to verbatim say these 4 things. And then the one thing you should do first. And I was like, so if you use my words, my exact words, then you better admit you know George motherfucking napping me, because it's going to look weird when you get out of that meeting. Now, we probably can't air this, but I just want you to know why I'm optimistic is because they had 7 agencies and organizations. All their comms people met at 9 a.m. in DC, I believe the day before the State of the Union, because they didn't know I think I'm reading into this, but they didn't know if Trump was going to say the word UFO, alien, or NHI. Now, I hear he didn't, but I rejected the news for over a week.
I'm very right. And people can say it's bullshit, and it's not. The fall of world governments, religions, oil, a lot of stuff could happen. They're scared shitless. Intelligence and these defense contracting companies, not just here in the United States, but around the world. You have, different governments. You have the UK, you have EU, you have Australia, and I'm going around the world. You have Russia, you have China. So what's he going to do? What's he going to say? And everything. Is he going to dare say it? And you got people say, do we need to kill this guy? Do we need to kill him? Because if this stuff is real, then they might come after us for the crimes we're committing. And I remember Trump saying, some people say that Trump was scared, not just the JFK stuff, but with UFOs. That's much worse, it is, for both, than people think. It's a lot worse. It's the stuff of nightmares. People don't have a clue. It needs to be out, though. People need to be held, the government, these people that are committing these crimes, need to be held accountable, though. That's what they don't want.
So, am I wrong for having, I'm going to ask you, am I wrong for having enthusiasm that the fact they're scrambling and coming to you and me for words, am I wrong to be enthusiastic?
I don't think you're wrong for having at least some optimism about it.
Yeah.
As a news guy, I think it is a big story just for the president and the former president to be mentioning the words UFOs and aliens. Just saying it gives a certain amount of credibility to people who've brushed this off, just by itself. Even if nothing ever comes from Trump's directive, I think that was a positive thing. I think it would be overly optimistic to assume that it's going to amount to anything. I think because Trump has issued this directive, they're going to have to come up with something. These federal agencies have got to come up with
like more shredding machines.
I'm thinking about some kind of document that has not been made public before, just to save face, just to throw a bone to their president.
Because Luna and Burchett and Burleson are saying, oh, Luna did this gangster tweet. I don't know if you guys saw it on X. She's like, can't wait to see the videos and all the documents and review them. Was she pressing when she said that? Because
maybe
promised that.
Maybe she's establishing a baseline. Hey,
I believe it was Luna and was it Gabbard that said, or two, I've heard a couple of these ladies said that there was a third gunman in the JFK assassination. Why isn't this more all over the news? That they put this truth out there. That wasn't just Lee Harvey Oswald. I remember the 80s and the 70s, I remember people talking about how, was it Houston or Dallas? Dallas PD was covering stuff up. How the FBI was covering stuff up. People in intelligence were covering stuff about JFK assassination. The autopsy was covered up. They drilled a hole in JFK's throat. I've seen a lot of the autopsy that isn't allowed on YouTube. I've seen a lot of stuff that make people throw up, make people puke and stuff, to give bad dreams and stuff like that. It wasn't one gunman, no, it was at least 2 to 3. And for one of those ladies, a couple of them said that, I don't remember which ones. But they said there's not, just 2 gunmen, there was 3. And stuff. And there are some people that still say JFK and UFOs is a conspiracy theory.
We expect to get at least this.
I fucking love her.
Yeah, I know. I thought the same thing. She took advantage of the opportunity of the moment and said, hey, I look forward to seeing this, meaning you got to at least give us something, which is positive. I think the chances of them giving the really good stuff it's infinitesimal.
But you always say that.
The same people have held this stuff up, that have been the keepers of the secrets for all these decades. You think they're going to cough it up?
But you always say that. And then you testified in Congress, and then we've had private meetings in SCIFs, and then we're contacted by comms people and agencies, and then that footage ends up coming out anyway, with or without them. So why are you not optimistic?
I'm optimistic that we will continue to come up with information that has not been made public by anybody else. I am not optimistic that they will suddenly cough it up.
Why.
We get it because we work at it. They're not.
Yeah, I think me and him are in the same boat with this stuff, where we've known about this stuff for so long. And the government, puts out just a little bit. I think it's going to be up to us, people like us, to get the truth out, and people like me try to do more live streams when possible with UFOs on camera and force the truth out. It's going to have to be people like us, because if we don't put the truth out, they're going to try and sweep this under the rug like all the stuff was never said. They tried this before. This stuff, they talked about this before in the 70s in Congress during the Nixon administration. They talked about UFOs as well. That was swept under the rug. They want to do the same thing again. And say this never happened, or whatever, or UFOs aren't real, or UAP, or whatever designation or acronym they choose to title UFOs. So I hope the truth comes up. But I think it's more up to us that have these UFO experiences that sees them and gets stuff from military stuff like that, whistleblowers, and they need to be kept safe. There needs to be a way for them to be kept safe and without getting killed, stuff like that. It's
not offering that stuff to us.
But we don't need them to offer it.
Well, you just asking me, am I optimistic this leads to something from the government?
Well, they have to respond to us. They have to respond to Matt. They have to respond to Dylan. They have to respond to Chief Senior Wiggins. They have to respond to Commander David Fravor. That's respond to David Rush.
Susan Go,
she
responded
to
Immaculate Constellation. Yeah, we don't see it. We can't find it.
Sorry, bad person, guys. I feel so bad whenever I talk shit about her. Like, Susan, I'm sorry. You're probably just doing your job.
Call her Sue.
Sue, I'm sorry. You're probably just doing your job.
That's what I was
that's the excuse of everybody. They're doing their job. Is she a bad person? Like, I think people are just doing their job. They're told, like, okay, for example, Jay Stratton told her, be honest about what Jeremy and George released. He told me that. I think I could say that. And she did. And she said, yes, those are military filmed UAP.
And it lasted that long.
But she did it.
Yeah, and when Jay was gone, she didn't do it again.
Right, but is that because she's a bad person, or is that because she's being told?
Yeah, I think she's following orders.
Right, so that's fine. That's fine. Or maybe it's not fine.
I don't think it is fine.
Is it?
Okay.
I think being a careerist when it comes to questions of national security is the incorrect mindset. You can resign from any job.
You did? Yeah, okay, I understood. Go ahead.
So, on the question of this
is where, like, brainwashed people that are indoctrinated, people go into the military, they believe that keeping stuff secret or working for the government with special access programs, top secret stuff, they think what they're doing is right. That's for national security, that needs to be kept secret. They believe that actually needs to be done, and it doesn't. People have been brainwashed. People have been used and abused by that indoctrination, by that brainwashing. My father and other men and women that I know that worked on top secret stuff, same thing with them as well. It does, they're proud of all the stuff that they did, until maybe later, but the stuff they worked around gave them cancer or other things, bad things that happened, and it's a brainwashing thing.
Be a bad person or not, or people like her. It may very well be part of their job, but if your job is evil, then I think you bear the moral weight of participating in that evil.
Name redacted.
It's evil.
Yes.
Yes, that I know for sure.
I know that from first-hand experience.
I'm sorry, bro, but
on that subject, there was one other thing to relay that I also relayed to.
Name redacted.
Is something I gave to Sissy and Sask.
I wish I had a warning so I could turn
and that was
off.
Additional information. And that additional information was a list of 42 names associated with the Legacy program. I provided that to
name redacted.
42 names. That's a lot of names. Most of those names are individuals. Some of them are companies. Some include, and most of them are companies people have never heard of. There's a lot of network mapping to do with 42 names.
This is what a lot of people don't know, is that mainstream companies or defense contractors or defense companies will make a third separate type of third hand company, and they'll give it a special name, and while they'll still be in charge of it, it'll be a private name, so it's not, so it's easier to keep secret, and it's easier for people not to know, or government not to know, taxes as well and everything else. It's a way to go under the radar and everything, is by doing it third party or whatever, but these companies are still in charge of it.
a lot of information that has been generated. This doesn't stop until it is over, and the people have won. We are not waiting for the government to give us documents anymore.
What do you mean exactly by that? Is that a threat? What are you saying? What do you mean?
It is a legal threat
go
because
there,
legally, what recourse do American citizens have to correct the actions of their government when it is no longer responsive to them? Well, we have relied on the executive branch to be the truth teller and the arbiter of what is or is not secret for far too long. It is clear that whatever truth comes out of any disclosure process is going to be biased and swayed for advantage. The legislative branch is at an impasse. There's not enough political capital to move disclosure forward in a legislative way that will result in real-world outcomes. So that leaves one last branch of government, that is the judicial branch, to pursue.
Right.
People like being in the shadow.
And the thing is, this is the crazy part. Each branch has its own set of powers and stuff, and it takes two to take charge of the other branch. It can't be one. There's supposed to be the executive has the most with nationwide power and international power. The judicial has all the power when it comes, of course, to laws and stuff like that. Justice system. The legislative can you can enact laws for the courts are supposed to enforce those, and it can also make laws to change what powers the president can have, and etc. That's the legislature and everything. So it takes two, though, to really rein in one in particular. And you need the legislature either way to do that.
And we don't need to win every court case to take this apart.
And you're going to win some so hold on, are we in the shadows today, or are we in the sunlight today?
Right, beautiful California sun.
George, I got a question for you.
I'm sitting in it. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I got a question for you. Son, okay, listen, we have a weird soundtrack for Weaponized. There's music all around us, but this is real life. So you're experiencing real life, so fuck off. Check this out, George. I got a question. Can you answer me?
He's drinking, that's what.
What if people in Congress, through presidential order, were given authority to go to specific, like you sent somebody to Papoose Lake back in the early 90s to go look at Papoose Lake to see if Bob Lazar's on the tree. What if people today got that authority, presidential authority to do it? Would you be optimistic?
I am optimistic that whatever is at those locations will be moved by the time that, say, congressman gets there to look around.
Okay, but what if...
Yeah, they already did, a few decades ago. My dad told me, he said, you want to know where the secret stuff, real secret stuff is. He said, it's not in Area 51. It's not there anymore. Because everybody knows about Area 51. And it's like, people still think that all the stuff, the real big secrets are there. Go to places where we have our most secret stuff underground. We have it inside some mountains. We have national parks and stuff like that. That's where we have is where people cannot go where they cannot see. We don't have all of our secrets where people can see, and where they may use drones or whatever, and satellites from say China or Russia, even though they know already. They just have to have a satellite in orbit when we're testing stuff at a secret place. They can take a snapshot. Boom, they got it. Like I said, they know all of our secrets more than it's only us civilians that don't know stuff. So
you could defend against that by having many sources of information to defend against that. Would you be more optimistic?
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah, it'd be great. I hope something comes from it. We know what we're talking about here.
I just want you to say that you're optimistic, George. Okay, I'll take that.
I don't know if other people can read this as I can. When they're both drinking like this, they're more loose-lipped and they're saying stuff they, of course, wouldn't usually say and everything. There's a reason why he's not drinking. He knows that something could happen if he's drinking. He has the water there. There's a reason why, I wouldn't drink at certain times. It's ultra rare for me to ever drink, like once in a decade. But I see how they're acting different, and he wouldn't ask George Napa this if he wasn't drinking and stuff. There's certain stuff that neither of them would be saying. It's just the psychology.
Hopeful is more a better word than optimistic. Hopeful. I'm hopeful that leads to something. I am doubtful that it does.
But I heard the first part. You're hopeful.
A little tiny bit of hopefulness. It'd be like cream in the coffee.
He has a little bit.
You don't use cream, but it's a great big,
giant carafe of coffee. Like really good, like Michael Lazowski's coffee, like something like that.
Something like that.
Okay.
And then a little spice for it too.
A little spice. Look, Matt, I don't know how to end this, man, because it's not ending. So I just want to say, thank you. And the fight is not over, but I hope that the public, not awkwardly, gets behind you with whatever you need to continue, because I want you to continue. Don't stop, no matter what it takes.
Let me ask you this. I know that from private conversations we've had that you've been discussing sort of an initiative that you and maybe a couple of your compadres are working on. Can you talk about that now? Or
he's reinforcing his thoughts.
This is going on next week.
So he's
based on our experience.
He's reinforcing them.
Dylan Borland and I have started a nonprofit to do disclosure by the people for the people. It is, using UAP whistleblowers from the national security enterprise to pursue disclosure through the justice system. We are creating an organization specifically to wage lawfare, to light our system lawfare, to light our system on fire with court cases related to disclosure, to make a huge fucking problem. In addition to that, we will be looking after whistleblowers. I have experienced, outside of personal support from friends and family, absolutely no assistance on the outside. There is no organized help for UAP whistleblowers, whether that be from Congress or from private initiatives. We are quite frankly being picked off to be either exploited for financial or technical gain, or to be removed from being agents of influence for the cause of disclosure.
So are you doing this for personal gain, Matt? Because that's what everybody on the interweb's going to say. Are you doing this for personal gain? Tell me.
No. Why not? Because this is our home. And if we do not defend it, who will?
We live here.
Exactly.
Planet Earth or America?
America. I'm not sure if it is our home anymore.
That's existential. Look, brother. Let's just cheers. I'm fucking.
And to be honest, we're not the first here. We're not. Our DNA has been tampered with, messed with by ETs and stuff like that, from what I know. So it's like, they out of hand and our stuff. So, it's been carried over. Anyways, let me see. How about get worldly and learn and ask questions, and don't expect a corrupt system to do anything. That's pretty much what I expect, and that's why that's why I think that people like us have to force it out, have to keep on putting stuff out. Never trust the government. And this goes for any. I hate all politicians equally. I hate any side and stuff because they're all corrupt. And the thing is, they all want to one-up each other too. And it's like that Analytics song, you know. Sweet dreams are made of these. Who am I to disagree? Trail the road is 7 seas. Everybody's looking for something. Some of them want to use you. Some of them want to abuse you. Some of them want to be used by you. And some of them want to be abused by you. I don't know if people could Analytics. That was the band that we're in, but that song holds truth with so much of reality, especially politics. The corruption of it. And how I think I need to really call up my internet company and find a way to be able to do stuff more on the go in the desert and do more live streams that way. And well, the UFOs, they're out here earlier for people to see if they want to see it. It's beautiful, awesome. And the thing is, us the people have to force this stuff out for the truth to get out. Never rely on government to do that because, you know, they're a part of the problem and there's a lot of criminal behavior happening, you know, with the people keeping it a secret. There's a lot of crimes that have been committed. They don't want to be held accountable. Yeah, that's yeah. If you do nothing, yeah. And I remember my father and family saying, because I knew about this stuff for decades and new stuff. It drove me just about insane. And my dad, you know, because he'd been around serious stuff too. It's like he said, don't talk about it. And you have all these people on YouTube talking about it, and they made their money and they have their influence now and stuff. And I go, geez, I wish I would have said something. But then again, there's a lot of stuff that I say people don't like either. You know, so I can see, you know, that's to reason. You know, I don't have as much following. One reason is because of that. But yeah, we have to put that out there, and more people just need to say, hey, I saw this, put on YouTube, put on X, Twitter. People need to come forward, never be ashamed to say, you know, I saw this and everything. We should be talking about this because the ETs are out there right now. I know they're out there right now. It's just they're invisible a lot of the time. They're not visible, but they're there. I mean, we communicate with each other outside, out there. And people can see them if they want to. And other people, just look up for. You're going to see stuff. They'll come to you. You have open your mind to the universe, and you're going to see things. You're going to feel things and everything. There's good and bad ETs. There are good and bad ones. You'll know the difference and everything. But yeah, us the people have to put that out. But I think all it is right there. I got food. I actually have to put away from supper. Made some Mexican salad and stuff. I may come on later again. Hope everyone is. I want to hear more from other people about their experiences, UFO stuff, and everything. What they have to say, how they felt, what was happening with their contact, their experiences as well. And I like to share about mine. Maybe in some ways I'm being protected and some stuff and I don't know about it. I don't know. Maybe that's the reason I don't get that much disability. I don't know. I wonder maybe if I am in some ways. But I want everybody to know the truth. I want everybody to feel comfortable about their anywhere with their experiences and live chat. And put out the truth that this stuff is real. And we all have psychic abilities. We have telepathic abilities that need to be learned how to use as well. We don't need Neuralink. We don't need Elon Musk's Neuralink. We don't need all that stuff. If we learn how to use special abilities, unlock them and stuff. And there's a lot of stuff that we have, and it's just right out there. It's just we just need to relearn it and access it. Anyways, y'all take care and have a good rest of your morning, noon, and night, wherever you are. And peace out. And leave a like if you